We know he's been through a lot since his last win at Talladega in October of 2022. So, Alex, starting with you, should we have been surprised that Chase Elliott got a win today?
Well, first, a few things before we talk about that, Joe. Number one, if you're curious on our thoughts on Fox, you can check out the stream Ben and I did the other night with you, Joe, talking about if IndyCar should sign with Fox Sports. If you watch that, you'll get an idea of how I felt about today's broadcast.
And
Second,
Alex, to follow up on that just real quick.
yeah,
To follow up,
yeah.
I think it might be a little bit outdated at this point because we should have postponed the roundtable until this week after the broadcast that we saw today. I think easily Fox's weakest of the year here. I still think Kevin Harvick's doing a great job. He's coming into his own
Yes.
as an analyst in the booth. But just from a production standpoint, way too many of those Zoom cuts, which are nothing new. I think NBC's just as guilty of that in many respects, but Fox especially today was really heavy on those, and just the commercial timing as well. It seemed like every time there was something that happened on track or an incident, just Fox was taking a commercial break because there are far too many of those. But that's a tale as old as time. We can have a whole nother roundtable debate on that based on the F1 coverage we've been treated to in the States here over the last several years. But I'll shut up now, Alex. I'll let you actually answer the question that Joe asked, but just had to comment on that since you brought it up right there.
Thank you. Yeah, check that out. It was a lot of fun. Checked out that stream from the other night. But second thing I want to mention is shout out to Noah Sweet. You might know him as Lefty Designs. He designed that Hooters car. He also designed the Raptor Byron scheme from last year. Really happy for him. This is the first time Hooters has won since Alan Kowicki drove it. So that's pretty cool. But to get to the question here, should we be surprised that Chase Elliott got the win today? I don't think so. However, I would not have picked him to win until he actually got a win. Now that he has a win, I might feel more comfortable picking him for pick a winner, just because he just hasn't been himself in the past year and a half since his injury. I think his mentality has just kind of been off. But Kevin Harvick said it several times on the broadcast today, like, this is a different Chase Elliott. He's driving very aggressive. And that's the kind of Chase Elliott that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And I'm not surprised. I think Chase Elliott can win races. He can win any week. But as Harvick kept saying in the broadcast, he's just racing differently. His mentality seemed to be back to how it used to be several years ago. So I'm not surprised, but I didn't know when this was going to happen. And it's good to see Chase Elliott back in victory lane today.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just looking at the trends from the last couple of races here, fifth at Richmond, third at Martinsville. So I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. He has been heading in the right direction. I think he definitely started the year off probably as the number 3 Hendrick car behind Byron and Larson, or Larson and Byron, depending on what order you want to put those two in. Just for whatever reason, I know Elliott and Bowman both had their injuries that they dealt with last year, and Chase had the suspension as well. Just really a complete throwaway year for him last year. But the 5 and the 24 teams seem to have been on a different level than the 9 and the 48 groups the last year and a half or so. So it's good to see the 9 team get a win again. Good to see Chase Elliott do that as well for his season and his momentum. And I guess we're coming back to the track that up until just a few hours ago was his most recent win in the Cup Series. So maybe he can go back to back there, and who knows? I mean, the season's still young enough. If he keeps trending in this direction, like you said, Alex. Now that he's got one, I think that's probably the hardest one to get. It wouldn't surprise me if he racks up a few more even before the playoffs begin here.